Yeah.
You want to like them, but you can't.
Are you listening?
What?
Are you listening?
Did you bring me on this show to insult me?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all don't want it with us, man. You straight gangsters over here,
Straight
man.
gangsters. Yeah, good morning. It is a beautiful Friday morning. I am Loudbeard. I'm sitting here representing the Scout Team, bringing you Scout Team Sports. It is October 26th. We're getting a little bit closer to Halloween. We're getting a little bit closer to the weekend. We're getting a little bit closer to talking about some great sports news. Real quick, I don't know if my friend Chris America has gotten on. We have been bit by the technology bug, which means anything that can go wrong, will go wrong, does go wrong anytime you are doing a live radio show. We go all in. There is no holding back. We're live. We're in your face. We're doing everything we can. And if Chris America chimes in, he can just come in and start singing the national anthem because he is so American, and that's something he would do. But once he's able to get in, we can get going, and we can get rolling with some of the stuff going on. But I'll get us started. Last night, great games going on. We had NBA action. We had NFL action. We had college football. Usually on Thursday nights, the games are just duds. But last night, we had some good action in college football. And we've got a lot of great news coming up. And usually on Fridays, we like to do a draft. So today, we are doing the top scariest players in NFL history. Those scary players are definitely going to get us in the Halloween mood. We need a good spooky Halloween theme. We need a good haunting. We need a little bit of everything because it is spooky season and we are representing in the best way that we can. All right, so moving forward, Chris America, have you had an opportunity to jump on the line yet? Nope, I don't hear any national anthem in the background. This is for you. It's like pouring out one for my homie. America. That was for you, sir. I hope that somewhere off in the distance you can hear that and really just appreciate the beauty that is Scout Team Sports. We come at you live every weekday, 6 a.m., and replayed again at 11 a.m. on 12ouncesportsradio.com, one of the greatest sports radio stations on all of the interweb. And if you miss any of our episodes from yesterday or the day before or Wednesday night when we do Scout Team After Dark, you can always check them out. Go hit them up. Go download them on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, or our website, scoutteamradio.com. So last night's NFL action, it was, okay, so I can't hype this up too much. I'm honestly living in the state of Florida. We are based out of Central Florida. I've been exposed to the Miami Dolphins for a very long time, and I've never been a big fan. I did like Dan Marino, and it might be because he starred in that movie Ace Ventura, and that made him seem like a real person. But the Dolphins nowadays, just not that good. Now, their record would tell you otherwise. They started out the season hot, but they've been on a little bit of a downward spiral. And since the Dolphins are on a downward spiral, and the Houston Texans, their opponent last night, are kind of on the upswing, the result of the game is exactly what we thought it would be, and that is the Dolphins getting their butts handed to them by the Texans, 42-23. Now, the Dolphins came out hot this season, 3-0, but now they're sitting at 4-3. They've lost 3 out of their last 4, including last night's game. And I have to give credit where credit is due because you're looking at a team that has the starting quarterback injured, Ryan Tannehill, and their backup quarterback is not only the one and only Brock out with your Brock out, or rock out with your Brock out, that would be Brock Osweiler. The Brock Osweiler that was with the Texans, that was with the Broncos, that was with the Browns, and now is the backup in Miami. And the magic of rock out with your Brock out has finally disappeared. He could not do anything to keep up with the high-powered offense of the Houston Texans. They were trying to just go back and forth, and Adam Gase, the coach for the Miami Dolphins, he tried to pull out every trick he could possibly think of to kind of give his team a chance, give his offense a chance. He tries a wildcat. He tries onside kicks. He tries Philly specials. He's doing everything in his bag of tricks that he can to slow down the Houston Texans, to give them an opportunity to be in this ball game. But it was just not enough because the Houston Texans, one, are a very good defensive team. J.J. Watt led defense is going to be scary no matter what. And the other pieces around him, Jadeveon Clowney, just so many really great, talented players on this defense. But the defense isn't what shined last night. It was the offense. This offense was almost unstoppable. Last year, Deshaun Watson came out 4 or 5 games. He was just lighting the world on fire. Just the offense could not be stopped until he went down with that knee injury. And I felt like this year he hadn't really caught up to speed. He hadn't had a chance to really get his momentum going and really recover from that knee injury. But then you saw last night, it looked like the Deshaun Watson that we saw glimpses of greatness last year was back. 5 touchdowns, including a pair to his favorite receiver, DeAndre Hopkins, and his second favorite receiver, Will Fuller. So you're seeing great stuff out of the Houston Texans. And Lamar Miller, former Dolphin running back, he has a great game. You're just seeing a well-rounded offense out there. And Deshaun Watson finishes with 5 touchdowns. They get 42 points put up against this Miami Dolphins defense. And what we ended up seeing was a Texans team that looks like they are going to be serious contenders in the AFC. The Texans are sitting at 5-3. They started out the season 0-3. And I remember sitting on this very show talking to Chris America, talking to him about these 0-3 teams when we were in week 3 of the NFL. We were talking about all of the competitive teams that may be able to come back. And I don't know that we gave Houston enough credit. What I do know is that 5 games later, it has been a 5-game winning streak, and the Texans are getting to the point where they are almost dominant. And last night was another dominating performance. So we're seeing a team that is coming together at the right time. Now, one of the challenges that the Texans faced last night, one of the biggest issues would be the fact that Will Fuller goes down with an injury late in this game. So they get the big win, but Will Fuller is a huge part of this offense and what they're able to do, what Deshaun Watson is able to do on this offense. It's all predicated on having these great wide receivers, DeAndre Hopkins and Will Fuller. When they're together, they're dynamic. Now, the Texans fear the worst of this injury because he goes down, his knee looks like it turns awkwardly, and it looks like it could be the dreaded ACL. And we all know that in the NFL, when you have an ACL injury, it's a good year before you're back and up and running. Some players can get back after maybe 8 months. I think Adrian Peterson, when he had his ACL tear, he came back 8 months later and ended up having one of the greatest seasons of his career. That is more of an anomaly. That is not the norm. I would say most players, including a guy like Deshaun Watson, it's been a good 12 months for him to finally be where he needs to be. You could tell he was struggling at the first part of the season because he wasn't 100% healthy. He wasn't 100% into this. He wasn't 100% back to being the Deshaun Watson that has the talent, the explosiveness, and the capability of lighting up these defenses. And now we see him back. So if Will Fuller is out with an ACL tear, this is bad news for the Texans, not only this year, but really leading into next year. This could have some lingering effects on their effectiveness as an offense. Now, that was last night's game. That was a great Thursday night matchup. I keep saying that. It's a great matchup. It wasn't a great matchup. Again, Dolphins aren't headliners in the NFL. The Texans, they're starting to become headliners. This was not your Patriots or your Green Bay Packers or your, I don't know, name a popular team out there. Dallas Cowboys, they're popular. People like watching them. I don't know why. This was not one of these headline games. This one ended up being a typical Thursday night game where it was like, okay, I want to see what's out there, but not super excited about this game. Now, after having a couple really exciting Thursday night games, I feel like the last couple weeks, a little bit more of a letdown, but that's okay. Thursday night, you're going to redeem yourself. You're going to have some good matchups moving forward. I'm okay with that. You were taking over for Monday night. Monday night should be the headliners, not Thursday night. So maybe the world's coming back to where it needs to be. Everything's starting to even itself out. Everything's starting to become a little bit more normal back in the NFL. All right, so moving forward, last night was also a big night in the NBA. Not only because there was great action on the floor, but there are some great trade rumors going on right now, and I'm excited to hear this. The Houston Rockets have been reported to be offering the Minnesota Timberwolves 4 first-round draft picks. 4 first-round draft picks. Now, I don't know what Houston has in their current situation, but I do know that, let's see, hold on. I think I might have a caller on the line here. Let me see if the caller is available to jump on real quick. Sorry about the static. There we go. Caller, you're on the air. How can I help you?
Yes, this is your boy, Chris America, coming to you live this Thursday, Friday, Saturday, whatever morning it is. I'm frustrated because my studio on my end will not work. I don't know what's going on with it, so I'll just get a call in.
You know what? That's very brave of you just to be, you're going straight old school. I mean, this wasn't even your cell phone. This was your home phone that you called in from. So, like, this is serious. Your landline. I didn't even know those still existed.
Yep, rotary phone, full on. I actually had to pick it up and say, operator, give me Loudbeard, please.
All right. Thank you, operator, for connecting us. When it said, like, would you like to take this collect call from the Orange County Correctional Facility, I was like, oh, shit.
Yes.
Chris America's back. He's on the line. Yes, I want to accept that. All right. Chris America, I talked quite a bit about this Thursday night game. I was just getting ready to dive into this Houston Rockets wanting Jimmy Butler madness that we were talking about yesterday. So before I go into the Jimmy Butler, you have any comments from last night's Monday night, or I keep saying Monday night, Thursday night football game?
It's tough to say because we've been saying all year that the Miami Dolphins record was a little bit, it wasn't what it was. They've been playing a pretty light schedule. The Miami Dolphins are probably a solid 7-9, 8-8 team. And so when they play teams that are below them, they're going to win. And unfortunately, or not unfortunately, but fortunately for them, they got to play a lot of those teams at the beginning of their schedule. So they started off with a 4-2 record. The Bears win kind of surprised me. I didn't see that one coming. They really should have been 3-3, but you know, for whatever reason, the Chicago Bears decided not to show up in Miami. But the Houston Texans did decide to show up, and they just beat them down. Whatever Deshaun Watson and those running backs wanted to do for the Houston offense, they did it. The Dolphins had no answers, and Brocktober is turning into one of the scariest months for the Miami Dolphins.
Ooh, Brocktober. The Brocktoberfest is coming to an end here soon.
But
I'm curious if
honestly,
Tannehill will be back soon. What do you have you heard anything on him?
No, I haven't, and I was just about to say, I honestly don't think that makes them any better. For whatever reason, people have been so high on Ryan Tannehill, and I always hear when Ryan Tannehill gets hurt, they're like, oh, hold on.
God bless you.
Yeah, sorry.
Gesundheit. No, that's okay. I understand.
Oh,
Sometimes
yeah.
I get a little sneeze, maybe a little, feather tickling my nose, and then there's nothing I can do. That you can't stop it. You have to sit there and you try to hold it in, and it makes it worse. Maybe you're on the toilet. Are you having trouble? Are you constipated?
I wasn't on the toilet, but you just made me realize I'm on the phone and I'm not tethered to the computer, so I could totally go get on the toilet now if I need to. But
That would be like live in your face commentary straight from the toilet.
that's right. But speaking straight from the toilet, Ryan Tannehill, his quarterback play is straight from the toilet. I still don't understand. Like I said, everybody says, "Oh, when Ryan Tannehill gets back, the Dolphins are going to be good." When have you ever known Ryan Tannehill to win you football games? He's made one playoff run, and that was again based on the fact that Miami was really an 8-8 team, but for whatever reason they had 10 teams on their schedule. Actually, it was 9 teams on their schedule that were just below them. And then they had one good win against the Steelers, which we just talked about, their surprise win against the Chicago Bears. And then what did they do when they made the playoffs, Loudbeard?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
A quick swift kick in the you-know-what out of the door.
Well,
See you, Miami. Thanks for participating.
And here's the other thing. How often does Ryan Tannehill stay healthy for an entire season?
None. Never. I don't know why they are still on this guy. They should have left. I've been telling they should have left him 2 or 3 seasons ago. The Ryan Tannehill experiment didn't work. You have basically, and you're going to hate me for saying this is basically Blake Bortles light. He's like,
ooh, that's rough.
Come on.
Fighting
what
words.
Are we doing?
Yeah, it's a good point. Good point. All right. Okay, that's enough for Miami. I don't know about you, but I can't talk about Miami that much. Like we need to move on. Now we're moving on to Cincinnati.
We're moving on.
Yeah. All right. So Houston Rockets, they make a big push for Jimmy Butler, offering up 4 first-round draft picks. One, I haven't heard whether or not the Timberwolves are going to take this deal. They like Jimmy Butler, and they really like to receive a lot of compensation. And I think part of the deal is they want players. They want guys that are going to come in and help complement Karl Anthony Towns and help complement Andrew Wiggins. They do not want just to have draft picks. So I'm a little concerned that they're going to like this deal, but maybe not pull the trigger because they're looking for maybe not a superstar, but like maybe a fringe all-star or at least some sort of player that's going to come in and give them some effort now, not just future draft picks. What are you feeling about this trade? Do you think this is going to happen with this big bounty or this big offering that Houston is offering out there to Minnesota?
Here's the deceptive part about trading NBA picks. If this was the NFL, this deal would have been done the second they offered it because a first-round NFL draft pick, whether it's the number 1 overall pick or the number 32 overall pick, is a good, solid deal. Does that mean that every single first-round pick in the NFL makes it? No. But you have a good chance of at least doing your homework, getting it right, and getting a all-around world player, all-pro, Pro Bowl, and Hall of Fame type player with the 32nd pick in the NFL. I can't speak for other sports, but I know about basketball and NFL. And NFL, by far, the number 32 pick, you can find somebody, or you have a better chance at finding somebody at number 32 than you do at number 30 in the NBA. So with that said, if I'm getting 4 first-round picks from a team that's likely going to be the number 26 through 30th pick, am I really getting value for Jimmy Butler there? If I get 4 number 30 picks, do you really think you have a good value there, Loudbeard?
See, I don't. Again, there could be other pieces to this. Houston may be offering up, like I think they want to get rid of Ryan Anderson, so I'm pretty sure they're like, hey, you can take this guy.
So you're talking about Jimmy Butler, like you talking about Ryan Anderson from Houston, right?
Right. Well, I think
So
it's going to be
four
first
round
yeah, four first-round picks that could be nobodies, and we're going to throw in Ryan Anderson, who can hit three-pointers but plays zero defense. So maybe Tom Thibodeau can kind of work with him. I don't know. I'm sure Houston's trying to throw in whoever they can, except Chris Paul, except James Harden, and except Clint Capella. I would say everybody else on that team is probably not safe, and maybe even Eric Gordon. Like, if they offer up Eric Gordon and 4 first-round picks, I would say Minnesota would be crazy to take it, but I don't think Houston is willing to give up any of their contributors because they want to beat Golden State, and they need more talent now. They don't care about their future. And Minnesota, they're probably thinking, this is good, but it's really not great because of, like what you said, if Houston's good for the next 5, 6, 7 years, those draft picks, if they're at 28 and 25 and 30, they're really worthless. I mean, to be honest with you.
Like, what am I going to do with these picks? I mean, like I said, you can find, we've seen it. Draymond Green was a second-round player, right? So it's not like you can't find them, but you're looking for a needle in a haystack. You're basically giving away a star player for what you know, and for 4 spin tokens at the casino. Like, you get 4 pulls of the spin. Like, you get to spin the wheel 4 times at the roulette wheel. Sorry, I'm not a gambler. I'm like having a hard time thinking of different gambling games where you spin it. The slot machine. That's
what is it? Go Fish.
Go Fish. Yeah.
Yes, just like Go Fish. Perfect. That's a good example. Thank you, Chris America.
Yep.
You're a resident gambler, apparently.
I'm ready to go on Vegas Squares.
Yes, you should. You should. Yeah, I mean, and even first-round draft, like, not just first round, but, like, if you get lotto picks, like, if it's in the top 10, even there it's a crapshoot. You don't always know what you're going to get. So this would be a risky trade for Minnesota. Now, it could set them up for the future to have some great opportunities, but are they really ready to give away today for the future? And that's where this is going to get interesting. And Houston, I mean, they're being aggressive. I really commend Daryl Morey. I think he has been one of the most underrated GMs with all the creative moves that the Houston Rockets have done over the years. I have to say that he is one of the best out there. And this is just them going all in, going for it, wanting that team to be the best. They know that they're going up against one of the greatest teams ever in the NBA in the Golden State Warriors with Kevin Durant and with Steph Curry and Draymond Green. They know that they have to get as many superstars in as possible just to kind of keep up. It's like an arms race right now. And if they can pull off this trade and not have to give up too many of their current contributors on their team, then this is going to be a huge win for Houston. So I'm excited to see how this whole thing's going to play out. You know what else I'm excited about, Chris America? There's one other thing I'm really excited about that happened last night.
Did the Magic win?
LeBron James, he's on a 2-game winning streak.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Did he beat the Nuggets?
They beat the Nuggets. The Lakers beat the Nuggets. This was the best part. Afterwards, LeBron's getting interviewed, and he's, the TNT reporter's sitting there saying, so what do you think it is that's helped spark your team to come back and get this big victory up against the tough Nuggets team? And he's like sitting there, and he's like, well, you know what? Make him dance, Lance. He's our catalyst. He sparked us. He sparked us to get the big win. And him and Lance Stevenson, they're starting to get their groove together. 2 guys, very improbable after that one time 5 years ago when Lance Stevenson blew into LeBron's ear, are now starting to become a super team. The charisma that you're seeing out there with LeBron, with Lonzo Ball, with Lance Stevenson, with Kyle Kuzma, with JaVale McGee, the Lakers, man, I'm telling you, do not sleep on LeBron, Chris America. I'm really starting to like what I'm seeing out there. 2-game winning streak, early overreaction. Watch out for the Lakers.
So, Loudbeard, if I'm hearing you correctly, you're saying that Lance Stevens is on the banana boat, but there's only so much room on a banana boat, so that means somebody has to be out. Who's out on the banana boat?
Oh, I would have to say Carmelo. They didn't really like him that much anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was always the odd man out. Yeah. Yeah, he just showed up.
He's Carmelo like their weed guy. Like is he just there because he's got the best weed? Sorry, we probably shouldn't talk about that on the morning show.
Yeah, you know what happened? You know, like when you go hang out with friends, and there's always that one like weird friend, and you're like, oh, who invited Cornelius?
Yeah.
And then you're looking over, and everybody's like, hey, what's up, man? How you doing? Yeah, let's go hang out. And everybody's like looking at each other, giving each other dirty looks, like, who is it that invited Cornelius again? In this group of friends, the Banana Boat Buddies for life, it's definitely Carmelo. He's the odd man out. I would have to say. Though, you know what? Banana Boat Buddies, I think LeBron is going to kind of do a little bit of a double take and do Banana Boat Buddies with some of his buddies like the Chris Pauls and Carmelo Anthonys and Chris Bosches and whoever his old Banana Boat Buddies are. But I think the new Lakers, they're all Banana Boat Buddies. Like I had mentioned, I can see Lonzo, I can see Lance, I can see Kuzma, I can see JaVale McGee and LeBron all squeezing into a nice banana boat, all wearing their Lakers jerseys on the banana boat. I mean, the banana boat would look like just a giant, awesome banana with a bunch of dudes having a ton of fun. That's the new Banana Boat Buddy team right there, and that's who we got to keep an eye out for.
I like it. I like it a lot.
All right, so go ahead.
Did you see Georgia Tech ran up the score on Virginia Tech? Is the ACC the worst Power 5 conference?
Wow, you're just switching gears to college football. I've got some good college football takes for you. Hey, I'm going to breeze through some NBA stuff, and then I'm going to switch with you because your ACC is bad. I'm going to do it quickly.
Okay.
One, Pistons beat Cavs. Cavs are awful, 0-5. They're terrible, they're terrible, they're terrible. Pistons, it is the year of the Blake. Be careful, Blake Griffin, he's on fire.
He beat another bad Eastern team. But yes, he's on fire.
All right, and last night, I know that you had trouble getting onto the show today. I think it's because you overslept because you were at the Magic game last night. I heard about this.
Yeah.
After the Magic Trailblazer game, Damian Lillard had a huge performance, 41 points. He interviews with the TNT reporter, and he says, you know what? That clown Chris America was sitting behind the bench over for the Orlando Magic, and he was talking so much trash that I just had to show him on the court, and I really put him in his place, and it shut him up for the second half. So there was a fan. He didn't specifically say Chris America. I ad-libbed that part. But there was a fan for the Orlando Magic that apparently was talking so much trash on the sidelines
really did happen?
that Damian Lillard said, you know, normally I block this stuff out, but the crazy stuff this guy was saying, and he was so loud, it just made me so angry that I stepped my game up to another level, and I had to show him and shut him up. That true story.
Oh, okay. I thought you were making something up. I was going to roll with it, but yeah.
No, like this was a true story. Other than the Chris America thing, I made that part up. It wasn't actually you. It was another proud Orlando Magic fan. This actually happened last night.
Oh, man. Orlando Magic fans, dude. Be better. Be better.
Last thing, Thunder lose. They're 0-4. Russ, he's not worried. Westbrook's going to step this game up, but I don't know. We'll see. All right, so college football. Yeah, there was actually some good games on last night. For a Thursday night, it was a good slate of college football games. Like you said, Georgia Tech, who is not a good team, runs it up on Virginia Tech. Yeah, the ACC, they're rivaling the Pac-12 in being the worst, but I think they're actually by far the worst. And I think that's why Clemson looks so good, because they're a decent team in a crap storm of awful teams in the ACC.
Yeah. If you took out Clemson right now, I don't know that the ACC would be better than the American. We've seen the ACC go against American teams this year, and they've lost. Georgia Tech lost to USF. Pitt got blown out by UCF. ECU beat North Carolina. I mean, ECU is a 2-win team, and one of those wins is against an ACC opponent. So we're going to let Clemson skate on through. We're not going to get into the playoffs, but Clemson's going to skate on through in a conference that's worse than the AAC, the American Athletic Conference, and get a playoff spot. That's what's going to happen, Loudbeard.
I know, it's a shame, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, that's just the way it is with politics and money of college football today. But we're up against the break, Loudbeard. We mentioned that the Orlando Magic fans have to do better. Do my Florida Gator fans have to do better as well?
They do. There has been some threats, and there has been some violence, and there has been some atrocities, and we will get to that here after a quick commercial break. I want to thank everybody for tuning in, and make sure you stay tuned, because after this commercial break, we're going to be doing some hot stuff, including a fantasy football, not football, yeah, kind of football, fantasy draft. And I've got to turn my music up. My bad, people. This is Amateur Hour here. I'm coming.
Did you know 40 points on your credit score could cost you $40,000 on a mortgage? Thankfully, Lexington Law is here to help. Since 1991, Lexington Law has helped over 500,000 customers take action on their credit reports. Call 877-910-7472 to talk to a repair specialist now. Personalized credit consultation is free. Getting access to your report is free, plus free score evaluation with a recommended solution. Call now and get on the path to recovery. Call Lexington Law at 877-910-7472. That's 877-910-7472.
Oh, it's summertime. And what's that mean? We're all heading off to the golf course. But don't go too fast. Make sure you go to 12ouncesportsradio.com and book a tee time. At the bottom of any page, you'll see Book Like a Pro. Click that banner, enter your course of choice or zip code, find a tee time you like, book that tee time, and you'll get up to 50% off, courtesy of 12-Ounce Sports Radio. Book like a pro, even if you don't play like one.
Ring Central features all-in-one phone, messaging, and video conferencing. It's easy to use with unparalleled security. Ring Central simplifies things so you can grow. Call Ring Central to speak with a representative about a price for your growing business at 877-779-3860. Again, that's 877-779-3860.
Yeah, it is a beautiful Friday morning, and you are listening to the Scout Team. He's Chris America. I'm Loudbeard. You're listening to the hottest sports takes on all of the interweb. You can catch us out every Monday through Friday, 6 a.m., and again at 11 a.m. on 12ouncesportsradio.com. And if you want to catch the old episodes, like I mentioned earlier, hit us up on our website, scoutteamradio.com, or check out Apple Podcasts and search Scout Team Radio. And we are also always hot up on the Twitter machine. If you want to get interactive and get involved, check us out on Twitter at Scout Team Radio. Right, Chris America, you can always hit us up on the Twitter machine. Is that something that's a deal? Is that a thing?
I mean, that is where I would hit us up. We're always active, social, retweeting, quoting tweets, sending out tweets. We're just all over the place on Twitter. We're very interactive that way. Sometimes too interactive, I think.
Right. Like right now, Ian Hall is tweeting at us. He's like, Fantasy Friday, ? Yes, this is a Fantasy Friday. We're going scariest NFL players of all time. Yeah, this is it. All right. And then he also he shared the Lance plus JaVale equals Magic on the Lakers. Yes. Thank you, Ian Hall, for being involved with Twitter and hitting us up, because he is a 12-Ounce Sports writer, a good friend of ours, and we love the interaction on Twitter. Any other listeners out there, if you want to hit us up, make sure you check us out. Make sure you keep it going. But you know what? With that, all that being said, it's Friday. We got to get our fantasy draft going here. And then when we're finished with that fantasy draft, we'll finish up some college football talk. And we'll finish this thing strong, because it is a beautiful Friday. We're pumped for the weekend. We're pumped for our fantasy draft. We are pumped because we are the Scout Team.
So, Loudbeard, we're talking about scary NFL players later, but something that is not a joke, it is scary, is death threats to other fans, especially in a time where we got some schmo sending out bombs or fake bombs or whatever to other people. Now we have Georgia fans and UF fans threatening UCF fans if they show up. Tell me more about this story.
Yeah, so I saw this story. We live here in the Central Florida area, so we get a lot of the UCF news, probably more so than the national media does. But yeah, there's definitely been a lot of threats out there to UCF fans. For example, I believe this was on Twitter, there was a threat. Let's see. This gentleman, I'm not going to mention his name, but he does have a Florida Gator emblem for his symbol on Twitter. And I think his name is Gator Guy, and then it's got a bunch of numbers like 95554321223, which that's always a lame thing. But he says, "Can't wait to pepper spray you and destroy your signs. Keep your head on a swivel, UCF fans." Can you believe that, Chris America? A Gator fan saying something stupid like that?
Yeah, unfortunately, every single fan base has these idiots. I honestly don't understand how football becomes so serious to you in your life that you're threatening people. Like, if I was a Gator fan and Jacksonville and a whole swarm of UCF fans showed up, I would find it hilarious. If a whole swarm of FSU fans showed up, I would find it hilarious. It would be a fun take, a fun day. Like, this is what football is about. You show up, you do things that are just like kind of off the wall, but threatening people over the fact that they're showing up representing their team, like, get over yourself.
Yeah, and I mean, there was several more. This is just another small example. There was another, again, I should have pulled up more Georgia fan ones, but these are some of the Gator fan ones. It says, if you're a UCF fan going to Jax, just make sure your health insurance policy is paid up. So one of the UCF fans says, really, dude, is this a Twitter threat? Like, seriously? And another Gator fan jumps in and says, it's not a threat, it's a promise. Like, come on. Like, really? So one of a big UCF supporter locally is an attorney that he sent a banner over the Louisville, Alabama game when it was played in Orlando that said UCF national champions. Yeah, he's a supporter. He's trying to do good things. He actually was going to buy buses or rent buses or whatever you do with buses and have a group of UCF fans. Well, they actually had 3 full buses of people that were set to go over to Jacksonville for game day, and he made the decision to go ahead and cancel this coordinated trip because he said, there's a lot of families, people with kids, and the last thing I want is some jerk to throw like a beer bottle and hit a kid in the face, or somebody to start something and this become kind of a brutal thing. He said this is about fans wanting to support their team, and it's disgusting that it's become such a just, I don't know, kind of like a violent thing. And it almost makes me kind of just disgusted, even more so with college football at this point. So I just wanted to share this story because it is a local story, but it's got a national really feel to it because is it a good thing for fans to threaten other fans because they're supporting their own team? Is that where we're at in America right now, Chris America?
It seems to be, man. Like I said, we got some schmo sending out bombs everywhere because he doesn't like his person or his presidential person getting, criticized or whatever. And I'm not picking on one side or the other side. Like, we're not picking on Gator fans either. This isn't just a Gator Georgia thing. I guarantee you if for whatever reason Toledo was in the same boat as UCF, right? And before the Ohio State-Michigan game, all the Toledo fans decided we're going to get on a bus and we're going to tell Kirk Herbstreit that Toledo is real and we're going to show up in numbers to show the whole world how big the Toledo fan base is. I guarantee you Michigan and Ohio State fans would threaten them with attacks of pepper spray and make sure your health insurance is renewed and all up to date. Like, it's just, come on. Jeff Beck says it all the time. After Beck Work Week in Review, which you can hear live today from 2 to 4. He always says, usually at the end of his show, like, be better than this, guys. Like, it's just sports. It's just the game. It's nothing to get serious about or angry about. So I'm kind of done with the topic, man.
Yeah.
If you're ready for the draft, I'm ready for the draft.
I'm ready for the draft. I have one hot take for you before we go to the draft. It's almost like having that let's say you have like a racist uncle, and that racist uncle just tells you, and I'm going to say the racist uncle is like Kirk Herbstreit, and he tells you, hey, you're better than those people. You're better. That race or that nationality, they're terrible. They do this wrong. They do that wrong. Don't ever listen to them. They're not good enough. They're never going to be good enough. They're never going to be what you are. And then you sit there and you listen to it and listen to it and listen to it, and then you become the racist. So that's what Kirk Herbstreit has done to America. He has created a bunch of hate, and he's created a bunch of just I don't know. I can't even. I'm gonna move on. Let's do a draft.
Yeah.
So let's do scary NFL players. Because are you in spooky Halloween mode or what?
I am full on spooky Halloween mode, and I'm kind of upset that we didn't get a chance to have me on the mic because I had some spooky music to go in the background, and even you can't do spooky music because you get the phone plugged in the mixer, but we're going to make it work. Just imagine spooky music just like you imagined X-Files music in the background. But we're doing scariest defensive players of all time. Loudbeard, are you ready for this?
Oh, was it just defensive players? God, I got to change my list up.
Are you serious? That's what I texted you.
You think I read all your texts? I usually just put them on mute. I have you blocked.
Do you want to just do all? Because all I got is written down as defensive players.
No, we could do defensive
players. If you want to do all around players, I can add some names to my list.
It's all good. It's all good, man. It's okay. I'm just gonna start Googling here real quick. Why don't you start us off with your first pick? Because I just have to maybe add a couple here to my list because I have a feeling some of the ones I've got listed are gonna go pretty quickly.
Well, I wrote down a list of probably 15, and like my number 1 pick, my number 2 pick, and my number 3 pick are going to be solid. But then when we get to the 4th and 5th, I'm going to honestly request that we do another. If we can fit a 6th pick in, let's fit it in because there are so many great defensive players. The other thing is a lot of them didn't play during our time. Unfortunately, with the way the rules are, it's hard to be a scary defensive player in the NFL these days because part of what made guys scary and intimidating was how hard they hit you, when they hit you. My number 1 overall pick, Lawrence Taylor, they've changed the rules around football because of Lawrence Taylor. They made left tackles one of the higher paid positions in the NFL because of Lawrence Taylor. I mean, he's one of the scariest all time. I looked at scariest NFL player list, Loudbeard, and every single list disagreed on who's 1 through 10 or 1 through 40, but every single one had Lawrence Taylor. He's the Reese's peanut butter cup of this draft.
He is. That one hurts because I knew he was going to be up there, and he was by far number 1 on my list. Joe Theismann every year, when it gets cold and he gets those creaking in his leg, he probably has nightmares waking up to Lawrence Taylor just – all right, so I'm going to, for my number 1 pick in this draft, God, you had to take the good one, huh? I'm going to go Deacon Jones. Deacon Jones was known, he was like the original sack guy before there was the term sack. He probably had 1 million of them, and they didn't even start calculating them until after he was done in the NFL. I can tell you that every quarterback that had ever gone against Deacon Jones has nightmares about him. They still remember getting hit by him. He was one of the hardest hitters and one of the scariest dudes on any defense. I'm going Deacon Jones with my pick in the draft.
All right, you're going with Deacon Jones. I'm going to stick in the state of New York, and I'm going to stick with that late 80s, early 90s era, and I'm going to take Bruce Smith off the board. He was one of my favorite players to watch on that Buffalo Bills team. He was just always all over the field. He should have won a Super Bowl. The fact that he couldn't get over the hump with his team was a shame, but Bruce Smith was probably one of my favorite defensive players growing up as a kid.
All right, so my second round pick here, I'm gonna kind of plead my case here. You've beaten me like 3 times in a row. I had an offensive player as my second pick here on the board.
I'll allow it.
You'll allow it?
Allow it.
All right.
Yeah.
So this running back, probably one of the greatest running backs of all time.
Why did I say I'll allow it?
Would
God.
run over guys and just this guy could level any defensive player anytime, anywhere on the field, and that would be the great Jim Brown.
Okay, yeah. I shouldn't have allowed it. I just lost the game.
Take that,
I just
Reese's
lost
Cup.
the game.
You're so
right.
sweet.
All right, that means I'm going to meet your Jim Brown with a guy, a Gator legend. He played with a broken leg through the entire playoffs and the Super Bowl, and that was that defensive end where you need leverage. You need to use your legs to churn against the offensive line, and that is Mr. Jack Youngblood. The dude was a savage in the 70s for the Rams, and he was probably one of the first Gator legends of all time was Jack Youngblood.
Yeah, that's a good one. The legend of the broken leg, playing it through the playoffs, and he actually played the Pro Bowl that year after the playoffs with the same broken leg. He didn't care. He just kept going.
Unheard of today. Unheard of. You'll never hear that again.
No.
And for the rest of our lives.
So I will say that was a good pick, Chris America, because he was definitely on my list here. Oh, man, for my third pick, I got a couple different ways I could go with this. Ew. I think I got to go with the 85 Bears being the scariest defense of all times. And this guy, with this name, you have to be a tough dude, because if your name is Dick Buttkiss, all through school, you probably got made fun of. And when you're the scariest dude, all of a sudden you learn to start beating people down. And he did it his whole life. He did it on the football field. And to this day, one of the best and scariest players in the NFL would be the great Dick Buttkiss.
Well, while you're going with the young Padawan, I'm going to go with the Jedi Master of the 85 Bears, and that is the one Mike Ditka. Ditka was a hard-hitting defensive player before he constructed one of the greatest defenses of all time. So not only was he scary as an NFL player, but then he masterminded one of the scariest defenses of all time. You had Mike Singletary, Dick Buttkiss, all the 85 Bears doing the Super Bowl shuffle, looking cute on that end, and then coming out on the field and just pounding people.
Okay, I like it. All right, so I want to go a little bit more, I guess, relevant to nowadays. Some of these older players, people don't remember because they weren't old enough to watch. But this player, a lot of people were old enough to watch. When you get accused of murdering somebody in real life and then you go out on the field and really just lay it out every week and just roll over people, that would be the great Ray Lewis of the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, he was good. He was when he came out and he wore the black visor, the sunshade visor, it made it even more intimidating looking. Just the whole Ravens uniform look just added to just the intimidating factor, the black and purple, like I said, the black visor, the smoke that he used to come out of. It just fit that whole persona. That's a solid pick.
Yes. Was he guilty? That's for a different day. Yeah. It's like
he was not guilty. We know that. He was proven not guilty. That was the verdict, I think.
Okay.
So we'll go with that. He wasn't convicted or he wasn't claimed as innocent, but he was not guilty. All right.
For another day.
Since you went with the modern times, I'm going to have to decide between these two guys. I'm going to go with Troy the Hair Polamalu. It's a little bit of a risk because a lot of our fans on Twitter are Cleveland Browns fans, and they might hate the pick because they hate the Steelers, but maybe they'll respect it. Maybe they'll respect everything that Troy Polamalu brought to the game of football and just how scary of a defensive player. This guy could play backfield in the safety and catch balls like a wide receiver, and then he could sneak down into the box, sprint right through the gap, and get to your quarterback in less than 2 seconds.
Oh, okay. I see where you're going. I have a lot of Steelers on my list left. And I was thinking of a guy that was modern day, but I'm probably going to go, maybe I'll go a little bit more old school. I really do. I have 3 Steelers that I'm looking at right now. And I think I have to go with the one that has mean in his name. And that would be Mean Joe Green. So if you're going with scary guys, you got to go Mean Joe Green, and that's going to be my 5th pick. Now, you were talking about maybe going to a 6th pick, So
If we
don't
could fit
know.
them on the tweet, like we got them all on the tweet last week without needing I think we still had like a few characters left over. So I think if we can fit them on, let's try to fit them on. And with my 6th pick, I think I'm going to stay within it's not really modern anymore because this guy played 20 years ago now. I mean, where his prime was 20 years ago. And that is a Tampa Bay zone, Florida State zone. It kills me to say it. Wait. Yeah, Warren Sapp was a Florida State player or Miami player?
Miami.
I can never remember. Miami, that's
U.
right. I always get them mixed up. They're basically the same garbage team. Warren Sapp played for the Buccaneers. It's really hard to be a scary defensive tackle because they don't get many sacks. But this guy would just eat up offensive linemen, throw them to the side, and just punish quarterbacks, punish running backs. I mean, Warren Sapp was just all over the field. I'm going Warren Sapp.
Okay, I like that. That might get some of the local fan votes. You might get a little bit of love from all the millions of Tampa Bay fans. So I see where you're going with that. Now the problem is I have 2 players left on my list. Both are still Steelers. I don't want to come off as being a Steelers like homer though. So I'm a little nervous. Now I'm kind of rethinking who I should be picking, but I'm just gonna have to go with it.
I think you should go with Adam Vinatieri.
Yes.
Throw him on the board.
Yeah, maybe. You know what? I think I'm just going to do it. Forget about it. I'm going to go. We'll go a little bit more. Okay, I'm just doing it. James Harrison. He's a little bit more of a current day guy. I was between him and Jack Lambert. The problem with Jack Lambert is he played so long ago. The younger people aren't going to know him. So I think James Harrison has got to be my guy. In modern times, he has been one of the scariest players in the NFL over the last 20 years. And I think having a couple new guys, couple old guys, couple current guys, I think I'm doing pretty good. I like my list.
No, your list is solid. Some of the other non-Steelers you could have gone with, I have still written down. You could have gone with Ed Reed, another Ravens defender. He would just crush guys. He wouldn't survive in today's NFL because he'd be kicked out of every game for targeting. But just watching him fly around the field and just utterly abuse wide receivers when the quarterback left him out to dry was fun to watch. Another Chicago Bears 85 player, a lot of people call him the heart of that defense, Mike Singletary. Could have gone with him. And then when I picked Warren Sapp, I was going back and forth between Reggie White and Warren Sapp. I went with Warren Sapp because Warren Sapp carried over the scary persona off the field, where Reggie White was just this down-to-earth, happy-go-lucky, cuddly teddy bear type guy off the field. He was just a nice guy. You never heard anybody speak bad of him. You almost wouldn't be afraid of him if you met him in person, other than the fact that he's just towering big. You'd have to turn on his football film to know how scary he is. And then Steve Atwater, another 80s defender for the Denver Broncos, is another name you could have thrown in there. But James Harrison is probably the safer pick out of all of those.
Yeah, I had a couple floating around too in my head that I was like, it's a little too risky. I didn't want to bring in another Circus Peanuts to this draft, if you know what I mean. But Bill Romanowski, because he was crazy, like he was like scary because he was crazy. So I thought about Bill Romanowski. I guess this is kind of around the same time, but what was it, Ronnie Lott, who cut his finger off in the middle of a game just so he could keep playing? Like, that story would have been good for the draft, but when Twitter votes, they don't hear the stories from our show. They just look at the names. So I kept that one out. Good draft,
now,
Chris America. Good draft.
I joked about Adam Vinatieri, but I honestly wanted to pick Pat McAfee. But I don't know how many people know the story about Pat McAfee, the Colts punter, who utterly blew up a guy returning it was either a kickoff or a punt. I can't remember which it was, but look up Pat McAfee blows up play, or look that up and watch the video of him describing it on his podcast. It's hilarious.
Good times, my friend. All right, well, that's the draft. We didn't leave ourselves much time to talk about anything else, but that's okay. We got 1 minute, 2 minutes left here, Chris America. Last night's Sunbelt upset. App State goes down, loses 34-14 to Georgia Southern. So they're not going to be in the top 25 anymore. App State's going to be kicked out. Also, your man, former Gator legend, Will Grier, he keeps building his case for the Heisman. His West Virginia Mountaineers go in and destroy Baylor 58-14. He has a great game. So that was college football last night.
Yeah.
Good times.
Pretty decent games. A lot of surprise blowouts. Coming up this week, I'm looking over Broncos Chiefs go at it again this weekend. It was a fun matchup the first time. The second one shouldn't disappoint. Packers Rams, another game that I want to watch this weekend. That's the 4:00 game.
Ooh, Packers Rams. That's going to be quite the battle. Let's see if Aaron Rodgers can show up for this one. And I mean, he's like LeBron James of the NFL. Basically, he gets on a team, and everybody around him sucks. It's like LeBron and the other guys. It's Aaron Rodgers and the other guys. So it's Aaron Rodgers versus a complete team. I don't know if Aaron can do it, man. Aaron, good luck, my friend.
Yep. And then Brown Steelers. Can they break? Who's going to win the rubber match? They tied last time, so whoever wins this, I guess, wins the series, right?
I'm going for the tie. I'm putting money in Vegas.
Oh, an 0-2 head-to-head battle, huh?
0-2. Yeah.
All right. Love it, man. Well, that's the end of our show. I'll let you unplug so you can plug in and do the outro music. You can lead us out. Have a good weekend, guys.
All right, guys. Thank you all for listening in. Once again, we are the Scout Team. You can catch us Monday through Friday, 6 a.m., and again at 11 a.m. on 12 Ounce Sports Radio.